hi Hugh. Thank you for agreeing to do this little interview today. Now Hugh, tell us about how you first heard about Belgrave Group.
Well, how I first heard about Belgrave Group came as a result of seeing an article in the Sunday newspapers about buying properties in America, and I had been thinking about getting into buy-to-let over here at the time, but then got, if I might say, tempted by the opportunities that seemed to be available in the repossessions market over there. Two companies were mentioned, one of which was Belgrave. I met with both, did as much research as I could on both, but I'm sort of one of these people who, you know, I tend to like to have relationships which are very much based on individuals, and I think people buy people, and I took to the Belgrave guys rather more than I took to the other companies, so I decided to go with Belgrave.
Fantastic. So you went actually down to Southampton to the office, did you?
I went to visit. I rang up, went to visit them, and we had a chat and got some idea of the setup. And then obviously I made contact with the other company and had a meeting with them. But as I say, I found that Belgrave, Mike, who I dealt with, Mike O'Brien, who I dealt with at Belgrave, you know, down to earth, answered all my questions. Obviously, it is a big leap of faith, and I think a lot of people probably feel that when they're looking for property, and particularly if they're buying a long way away. But on the other hand, it struck me that at least I knew that I was buying a property in a country where, most importantly, they speak the same language. They've got a similar legal system. They've got a good property title system, and I suppose having visited the States in a work capacity over the years, and also know something about the property market out there, you know, I had confidence that, you know, if you own a property, then you do own it. You're not going to find somebody coming up with unexpected rights over the property, and for instance, things like title insurance, which are almost every day in America. I mean, you know, they just take it for granted, whereas over here it's still something that people don't tend to rely on so much, but over there it does have that added, that gives you that added confidence.
Now, Hugh, without going in too much into what you do, you deal with property here in the UK, don't you?
Well, I do. But I mean, property's been I've been involved in property all my life, you know, I'm proud to say I've been in the agency business, residential agency business all my life. Have my own businesses. I work in a consultancy role now, which in the property business. So therefore, obviously, I like to think I know a bit more about it than some people. But on the other hand, I'm not going to guarantee that I can't make mistakes along with everybody else. But
sure.
You know, so I know a bit about the background, and I have got the benefit that for a few years I sort of working for an organisation where I was given the opportunity to travel in the States and to get to know something about the property market out there, and in also some of the professionals that work in the market out there. So I've got a little bit of an inkling about perhaps a slightly more the regime under which people like realtors and sales agents work, and particularly lettings agents as well. So that sort of gave you a bit of confidence as well, I think.
Yeah, fantastic. How many properties do you have here? Is it
No, I'm not.
I mean, in Atlanta.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, in Atlanta.
Sorry, I thought you meant probably I've got over here. I've only got the one at the moment.
Okay.
But it's my intention to, in the next sort of tax year, to consider buying another one out there. Because the area, obviously I now have been there, seen it.
You've been out to Atlanta?
I have. Visited the Stone Mountain area. In fact, I began to wonder, actually, after having bought it, I'd quite like to live there myself. It's a nice part of the world.
It's a nice place.
You know, it's a nice area. It's near Atlanta. I've got a very old school friend of mine lives in Birmingham, which is about an hour and a half outside Atlanta, and he used to work in that vicinity, so I had some knowledge of the area, but I'd never been there. Very impressive city.
Did you go on the inspection trips?
I did.
Okay, right. So you didn't go out on your own accord. You went on the inspection trips.
No, I went on the inspection trips. But I did.
Did you enjoy that?
It was great fun.
Would you recommend it?
Yes, I would. Well, yes, because obviously it puts if you like, the meat on the bone, puts everything into context. You get a chance to see the area. I mean, if I've been totally honest about it, I did what probably in the professional capacity I would never advise anybody to do, and that was I bought unseen.
Okay.
I hadn't seen the property before I bought it, but I was prepared to do that, knowing that I could go out and see it afterwards, and it lived up to expectations when I saw it.
Fantastic.
You know, it gave me an opportunity to meet the other directors behind Belgrave, and to meet the people on the ground in the States, because again, they were names that had appeared on legal documents, but then seeing the chaps out there and how it works, you know, I think it does give you the added confidence. And,
yeah, it's nice. You actually get to meet.
And it was a very, and in fairness, Belgrave laid on a very good trip, and you know, full marks to them really for that, because it wasn't too. It was by no means, if I might say, a high-powered sales job.
No, I understand.
What I would like to emphasise is really that, you know, you weren't put under any pressure. Yes, obviously, you know, people are going out there, but I mean, at the end of the day, you're not going to make the journey unless you are serious, and you're seriously thinking about making an investment. But equally, you didn't come under pressure from Belgrave. I know I already had a property, but you know, I didn't get the sense that other people were put under pressure, and I met people who hadn't bought, and I met people who had bought.
Yeah.
And what was nice was that you did create or forge some connections with the people who had bought or who were thinking of it. And subsequent to the trip, I've had, you know, you've had one or two emails from people I met out there asking how things are going, and quite useful to have that little network of, if you like, property owners.
Lovely.
Who've bought through Belgrave, and probably that's not a bad idea, because actually, you know, you can sometimes get an added benefit from that. If somebody's got a problem, well, a problem shared, sometimes a problem solved. But let me hasten to add, touch wood, I haven't had too many problems, so it's all been fairly straightforward.
Fantastic. So the inspection trip ticked all the boxes on the due diligence, as it were.
Absolutely.
Now, just off camera, Hugh, we talked about the headline that you first saw in the paper, sounding a little bit too good to be true. How much due diligence did you put into that? When you first saw that, what sort of time period did you take to do your homework? Okay,
well, I think the headline reading the paper was that obviously you were getting, you know, returns between 13 and 15%, if I remember rightly, on property out there, and that seemed fairly incredible compared with the returns that you can get in the UK on buy-to-let property. I mean, you won't get those sort of returns in the UK. The best returns you'll get is probably, certainly not in the London area necessarily, or in the southeast, but you'd probably find you've got to go and buy something up, you know, in the north, in some of the more depressed areas, where then, yes, because the prices are low, you'll get a rent which will give you a better return. But what I liked about the American opportunity was that these were not run-down properties. The areas were not what I call by any means unpleasant. They're areas that you'd quite actually like to live in yourself. And as far as the due diligence was concerned, yeah, I mean, I made some inquiries. I had some business contacts who I was able to talk to, who confirmed that, yeah, there was good returns to be made out there, because they were also doing something, not in the same part of America, but elsewhere. As I may have explained, I got a friend of mine who lives in Birmingham. I spoke with him. He said and confirmed really the situation as far as the market was concerned. He wasn't too conversant with the sort of rental returns, but nevertheless he did confirm the structure and really gave me confidence in Atlanta. You know, his feeling was that yes, you know, it was a city that would quickly you know, get back to sort of some form of economic recovery, or at least as America itself, as the US itself came out of recession and came out of the problems it's been having, then obviously it would be one of the major cities to pick up in activity. Because I think that's, you know, what you want to know is that you've got a reasonable ready market of tenants that are prepared to rent out there.
Yeah.
And you know, what I was told, and both over here and then talking to, again, Belgrave were helpful. I wanted to talk to, could I have, you know, a conversation with the managing agents out there before I bought? Yes, certainly. Here's the telephone number, or rather here's the email. Here are the people. Give them a call, speak to them. So there was no question of reticence on their part to let you talk to who you wanted to, and that again I think helped in the process of moving forward.
Lovely. Okay, Hugh, I guess final question. I think I already know the answer to this based on what you've just said. Would you recommend the Belgrave Atlanta proposition to other investors?
Well, based on my own experience, yes. You're always reluctant to give 100% in all things, but the fact of the matter is, my experience with Belgrave is really, I think, the same as I probably posted on their, testimonial. They delivered. They lived up to the promises that they made in terms of the service that they offered. If there were any problems, and I don't recall having any problems as such, they dealt with them. And in fact, I can give quite a living example actually, because I think it was good. I went out and saw my property afterwards. I happened to make comment to James, one of their directors, about the condition of some cladding on the property, and he looked at it and said, "Yeah, I'm not really happy about that myself," and it's all been dealt with.
Fantastic.
And I think that shows a degree of interest, and hopefully replicated the sort of, they too are concerned about quality control, about the work and the refurbishment that's done, because otherwise, at the end of the day, good news travels quickly, bad news, good news probably travels more slowly, but bad news travels very quickly.
It does.
And one thing that I think you need to have is obviously, or build up, as a reasonable reputation, and that gives confidence to people, obviously.
Fantastic. Hugh, thank you very much for this little interview. I appreciate you taking the time, and best of luck with your future investments.
Many thanks.
Thank you.